But we're heading to the SouthTown Expo Center.
Oh, clear down in Sandy?
Clear down in Sandy. It's a huge convention center, and they're having the NMRA train show down there.
Oh, okay, instead of up at the fairgrounds.
Instead of the fairgrounds. It has been at the fairgrounds. Well, I think Shag was a pup.
Exactly.
And came to that first and was on display there.
Yes.
And he was signing autographs. But he was just a pup. And that was at the fairgrounds. It's been at the fairgrounds forever. But they've moved it to the Expo Center to become more upscale and modern and
Make parking a snap.
21st century. And there's that. So anyway, check this out. The Wasatch Division, Northern Utah, I forget which it is, of the NMRA, their annual fall show, the November show, at the SouthTown Expo Center for the first time. The Intermountain Model Train Expo has been going on now for decades. Historically, it was run out at the Utah State Fairgrounds in mid-November. Now they've moved it to the SouthTown Expo Center. It's a hands-on show. That is to say that there's a lot of exhibits here where kids and, well, even some grown-ups, if you ask politely, can have fun building models and doing things. This is a fun thing. Kids build their own boxcar from a kit, and then they race it on a Pinewood Derby track to see who can build the fastest boxcar. One of the great staples of any train show are the Modular Railroads. This is the Hostlers, and they have their own train show. And yes, we've covered that actually a couple of times. It's a really good train show. But they take their Modular Railroad around to other train shows as well. So here they are at the fall show of the NMRA. And wow, what an amazing railroad it is. One of the fun things about these Modular Railroads is they're not always the same. Different members have built different modules, and the whole thing can be hooked up in different ways. So every time you see it, it may be different than the time before. One of the great advantages here is that people who don't have room to build a layout can build a couple of modules and then take them to the shows, and it gives them a chance to run their trains on a great big huge layout, which includes their couple of little modules. Some of these modules get pretty darn elaborate. Some people will build quite a few of them too. It just sort of depends on the individual. All you have to have is one to be a member of one of these clubs. Now here's a fun group. This is the Garden Railroad Society. Normally these guys are running their big trains out in the backyard. But they've built a modular railroad that they can take around to train shows just to sort of show off their fun giant models. This massive beast is a 1/29th scale Malley, a big articulated Union Pacific engine. 29th scale is one of the popular scales that people run out in the backyard. Now, some people, ourselves included, will prefer to run narrow gauge trains, but everybody designs their trains to run on this exact same track, so you can take your trains over to somebody else's railroad. The track is number 1 gauge, but the scales vary all over the place depending on what you're modeling. Narrow gauge is usually modeled in more like a 1/20th scale. Now, because it's the NMRA, there will always be a model contest. A lot of people who are members of the NMRA join for no other reason than to take part in the model contest. Here's Al's contribution this year. Al, who's been on the show a great deal. Al did really well with his models, which he always does because that's Al. But there's always a good deal of really cool models in the contest. And there are dealer booths. These guys came in from Nebraska. So people come from all over to set up their shop and sell stuff to the public. It's really pretty cool. They have a lot of fun things for sale, and a lot of people might do a little old pre-Christmas shopping here in mid-November. Just sort of a fun thing to do. But a lot of people come to the show just to shop the dealers because, hey, they have a ton of stuff. You will find things here that may be hard to find. These are all exotic tools. Now, a lot of people will come here to look for brass engines. Brass engines are handmade. They're very rare, very small runs, and if you're looking for a particular one, well, you may have to look around a whole lot. But here at a train show, you will see dozens and dozens of brass engines, all of them for sale. So if you're into collecting those, this is a great way to find something that you might be looking for. They also have antique trains. Okay, here's a fun group, or a collection of groups, the Toy Train People. This is the American Flyer group with their great big huge American Flyer layout that they take around to some of the train shows. Really fun to see the old American Flyer trains, especially if you had them as a child. I think most of these guys in the club all grew up with American Flyer, so they're really into that. And here's Lionel. A lot of people prefer the Lionel trains, and this club is devoted entirely to three-rail Lionel trains. And here's a fun toy group, the Lego group. They build all this crazy stuff out of Lego bricks, and now they've been coming around to train shows because one of the items available for Lego collectors are trains. And so you can see that there are Lego trains in this Lego village, all of this built out of Lego bricks. The closest experience I've ever had with Lego is stepping on one of them in the middle of the night in bare feet. Okay, let's get back to some of the modular railroads now. This one was brought by one guy who just built his own modular railroad, a club of one. And these guys are a local group here on the Wasatch Front who've built this big monster. It's a beautiful, beautiful railroad, sort of indicative of the West Desert here in Utah. But really, really a well-done railroad. There are certain sort of published rules for building modular railroads, and you can choose to follow those rules if you want to, or you can do like these guys have done, throw the rule book out and come up with your own system for hooking the modules together, exactly what the track spacings are supposed to be and how those tracks will attach to each other once the modules are bolted together and that sort of thing. That way you can come up with something that's much more unique. In this case, these guys have built a railroad with huge, huge, broad curves by building modules that are just very slight angles to each other so that they can run around on about a 15-foot radius curve. Here's a railroad that pops up at train shows all over the West, the Sherman Hill Model Railroad Club of Cheyenne, Wyoming. They've traveled down here to the show with their really cool modular setup. These guys seem to be willing to travel hundreds of miles to haul their railroad to a train show, and that's pretty cool. Now here's a fun model railroad. It's an N-scale modular railroad, the Wasatch N-scale Model Railroad Club. And check this out. These are modules built by Bob Gerald. He was on the show, about 6 weeks ago with his basement railroad where they were doing operations with the Division Operating Group, or DOG as they like to be known. And he has set his modules up for prototypical operation using waybills and car cards. So they were here at the show doing operations. If you want to go look at that show, it was about 6 weeks ago, and it covers the ins and outs of how operating is done. It's not everybody's cup of tea, but it's an interesting aspect of model railroading. Well, that was a fun train show.
That was fun.
You know, we go to a lot of train shows.
We do.
Yeah, so
They're fun.
we could be experts on train shows.
Right.
We've been to train shows on Well, only one continent.
That's it.
But a lot of different states.
Yeah.
Just happened to, so far anyway, they've all just been on one continent.
Right.
But we're getting quite adept at spotting the good ones, and I can't say that I've ever really been to a bad one.
No.
They're all fun. Train shows are
train
just
shows
fun
are
because
fun.
trains are just fun.
Right.
So there
The
you have
models
it.
are fun. The little accessories are fun.
Everything is fun. So a good train show, and this was more successful, I think. I like the move to the
liked
SouthTown Expo. It's better.
Yeah, being on one floor. And I didn't have
I
to climb
wasn't keen
stairs.
on the stairs, and we're getting of an age when you look at those stairs and you go,
You know what? Where's the elevator?
if there's nothing really radically cool up there, it's going to stay up there, and I'll be down here. Thank you very much. So this was nice that it's all just on one level,
Right.
and it's a cool facility, and actually it was a bigger show too.
Yeah, it was.
It was a bigger show.
More
and
people there.
More people, which is the
Which
bottom
is what
line.
we're shooting for.
Which is the goal, is to
Absolutely.
try to get it back up to the old numbers from the old days.
Right.
Well, anyway, if you haven't been over to the channel, and if you haven't subscribed, you need to get over to the channel, and you need to subscribe.
Absolutely.
So you can do that by clicking on the blue button. Zoing! Did you see it come in? Right there said subscribe. And if you click on that, it will take you to the channel and make you a subscriber, and therefore you are cool.
Right.
Well, we're not sure how you found this movie on the internet. We hope you didn't find it boring.
No.
And we will see you here again in 1 week with some more massive and significant screwing around. See you then.
Okay,
Bye.